rise and stand, voices of the brave echo to the land. Chasing dreams on the edges of fate, with steel in our veins, we will not wait. Killer call, we rally and war, for the coppers will settle our score. Populism's fire ignites the night, and your face will shine a light. From the ashes of the past we strive, with iron resolve we will not divide. The fire burns bright, unyielding and strong. Together we'll sing a defiant song. Killer call, we rally and roar, for America first will. Rise and stand, voices of the brave echo to the land. Chasing dreams on the edges of fate, with steel in our veins, we will not wait. Killer call, we rally and war, for the coppers will settle our score. Populism's fire ignites the night, and your face will shine a light. From the ashes of the past we strive, with iron resolve we will not divide. The fire burns bright, unyielding and strong. Together we'll sing a defiant song. Killer call, we rally and roar, for America first will. Rise and stand, voices of the brave echo to the land. Chasing dreams on the edges of fate, with steel in our veins, we will not wait. Killer call, we rally and war, for the coppers will settle our score. Populism's fire ignites the night, and your face will shine a light. From the ashes of the past we strive, with iron resolve we will not divide. The fire burns bright, unyielding and strong. Together we'll sing a defiant song. Killer call, we rally and roar, for America first will. Rise and stand, voices of the brave echo to the land. Chasing dreams on the edges of fate, with steel in our veins, we will not wait. Killer call, we rally and war, for the coppers will settle our score. Populism's fire ignites the night, and your face will shine a light. From the ashes of the past we strive, with iron resolve we will not divide. The fire burns bright, unyielding and strong. Together we'll sing a defiant song.
talk about the economic damage. I support this bill because at the end of the day, we have to recognize that the Haitian people who actually have come to the United States, they did go through a vigorous vetting process in order for them to get the TPS status that they have. Second of all, if we're looking at the economic damage that will come to actually pushing out more than 350,000 TPS recipients, we know that's going to be devastated to our market. There is a better way. We should be contemplating not just extending TPS in this bill to 2029, but also figuring out how we can actually transition. While these TPS recipients hold over 100,000 jobs in healthcare, which is actually a fact, why don't we put together some kind of continuing education program for Americans so they can replace them? What is the rush to kick them out the country and to leave all these positions open with no one to refill it? Let's talk about more how we can protect and make sure that our hospitality industry in South Florida, where we have more than 1,000 Haitian TPS workers who work in the airports in Miami, the airports in Broward County, and also in hospitality. If we kick them out willy-nilly, everybody goes out in one day, how are we going to sustain the economy in South Florida in a state that everybody loves to visit? What I'm asking for is cool minds to actually come together and think about how we can actually have a transition process that will protect the American people, help our economy, but not rushing towards this mass exodus, which is going to leave the American people in the stray. One of the things we have to realize also is that the American people, they did ask for job skills training. They did ask for a transition. They're not looking for chaos and just to push people out. And the truth is, I keep hearing this fact about 61% of Haitian people who are on welfare. My district is full of Haitian people. My family's from Haiti. I don't know anybody who's on welfare. And what we're saying is that we're not arguing that it should be temporary. In fact, the bill says until 2029. But what we are arguing is that we sit together, come together, and have a plan of transition.
Additional minute.
So what I would propose is that we actually pass this bill and then come together and think of a transition where we can now train Americans so they can get those jobs, give them a green card until that time comes, and protect our economy. And I say it one more time, if we just move forward like this, what we would be doing is economic sabotage. Economic sabotage. Look at all the Haitian workers and what they uphold. Think of every elderly person who has a nurse. Think of the vulnerable. And my heart hurts for anybody who is hurt. I do not like women being abused. I think it's terrible when we have criminals. But let's have cool minds come together and have a plan that benefits both sides and this country. Thank you, and I yield back.
Been able to confirm, say that this home is owned by Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. He was the Lieutenant Governor under Governor Ralph Northam. Now, he's been in private practice since an unsuccessful run for governor in 2021. But let's talk about what happened in this.
All right, welcome to the Killer Carl podcast on this Thursday night. Wow. Sheila McCormick going out on her last bit to try to bamboozle the American people some more. You know why Haitian people aren't on welfare? Because they are scamming the American taxpayer in other ways, Sheila. Kind of like you did. Just saying. That final clip that you had of the devastation, well, that was Israel bombing a civilian apartment building, killing 8 people, including women and children, while they're supposed to be negotiating a ceasefire with Lebanon. So there you go. They really respect the United States and President Trump. All right, so we have joining us tonight the one and only Tim Skillett. Big Tony Speaks. And I think we're going to have Jacob join us. He wasn't feeling too well, but, you know, if he gets on here, he gets on here. Wow. Well, Skillett, your thoughts on Sheila McCormick, and then we'll get your thoughts on the former Attorney General that seems to have off himself and his wife.
Yeah, his name is Fairfax. Yeah, he was.
I was just talking about that on my show.
Yeah, I covered this in my afternoon Panic and Rehab News afternoon news. It's a real shame. His teenage kids, a boy and a girl, were in the house. It was midnight. He's down in the basement. He's going through a nasty divorce with his wife, who's a dentist. He was a lieutenant governor, which he had to run for. He beat out a Republican in Virginia. It was like 2014 to 2022, something like that. I mean, just kind of recently. And then while he was lieutenant, while he was lieutenant governor,
Echo.
I know. Let me turn down these things. While he was lieutenant governor, he had 2 sexual harassment suits that came out on him, and one was from 2004 at the DNC convention in Boston. His work associate, this lady that worked with him, said that he made her do something, and he said it was consensual. He probably wasn't married at the time, and then he had a sexual harassment of rape in Duke from a young lady who accused him of rape. Again, said it was consensual. So
don't they all?
I mean, they ruined him while he was lieutenant.
Right?
He must have been an up and comer because they ruined him with innuendos and bringing the people for CBS ran a story and brought the witnesses out and interviewed the witnesses on CBS, and he ended up suing them and lost the case. So there had to be, look, guys, this is going to happen. I mean, every single person that runs for office, you're going to have a few people that might come back and had bad dates. I don't know, I'm not saying that that's Eric Swalwell. I'm not saying that this or that.
I'm not buying the bad date.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is, if a woman tells you no, it just means no.
Correct.
And my guess is that's probably what occurred in a lot of these incidents. Right. Is, we have Joe Biden, remember, with Tara Reid. Remember Tara Reid?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yep. A staffer. He cornered her in the hallway.
That's her story.
And corroborated too. Via Larry King, her mother called in.
Yeah.
Right? So Tara Reid cornered. Joe Biden violated her with his fingers.
Yeah.
In the halls of Congress, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
And she pushed back against his advances, but she was still violated and she wasn't taken seriously.
Right.
And I think what happens in a lot of these cases, like Swalwell and some of these other dirtbags in Congress, and I don't know, I saw some rumblings about Byron Donalds the other day, and I don't know if any of it's true.
Well, Byron Donald was arrested, has a criminal record, but he outgrew that youthful.
Yeah. Now I saw something of the recent, possibly with the underage girl, him and somebody else, and video possibly coming out. Now, listen, I don't know. It could just be. It's not verified. I just kind of came across it a couple of times in my research the other day.
We're under attack in Florida. They want to turn it blue. They don't want him being governor.
I like Byron Donalds. It's a shame if that's the actual case of what happened.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some investigation and find out.
Got to get rid of these dirtballs in Congress.
Right.
Yeah, but
right.
Now,
okay, so
Jacob, I think I saw you join. You'll have to turn on your camera and stuff. And he came in and came out, I thought. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Big Tony.
Yeah, we've got to clean out our side of the aisle. You know what I mean? We've got too many rhinos. We've got too many people with these really horrible skeletons in their closets. Now it is actually more on the Democrat side, but it's on our side.
Yeah.
We have it, and we've got to all, commit to cleaning it out. We, as the people, we can do that. We have that power.
Yeah. And that's the problem with the Epstein files. You know, the problem with the Epstein files, now you got Todd Blanche saying, we're not releasing anymore. We're done.
Right.
Right? Right? We're not releasing anymore. We're done. You got all you're ever going to get, and you're not getting any more. Well, who's he protecting?
Well, but okay, so you have insider
You see,
trading
that's
with
how
Nancy.
that's how we're never, ever, ever.
You've got insider trading with Nancy Pelosi making $300 million when she came into Congress with $50,000 in a bank account. Her husband ran a rental car agency in San Francisco. He literally ran a rental car agency. There's no investment banker, Paul. There's no astute businessman, Paul Pelosi. He ran a rent-a-car agency. Okay. Basically, probably had unlicensed rent-a-cars. It was probably just used cars that he was, kind of like Toro is, or whatever that new rent-a-car thing is, where you just kind of place the cars to somebody. All
It's
right.
an app. It's like an Airbnb for
Yeah,
cars.
it's like an Airbnb. So that was him. But they didn't want to end her. So they could have ended her by saying, hey, insider trading, you're out, Nancy. They let her go all the way to
Well,
speaker.
they can't because they're all doing it.
Yeah, Bill Clinton.
That's
God
the
knows the
problem.
story. We had a busload of women come out against Bill Clinton. He still became president twice because they didn't want to end him. They liked Bill Clinton. Okay. Joe Biden, he accosts one of his staffers. She's on national TV. He still became president of the United States. You see what I'm saying? They protect.
Wow.
Protect who they like,
that was
and
stolen.
they end who
But,
they don't like.
That was stolen. But here's the thing. This is where the Epstein files, this is why people are so frustrated with it. Right? Because we see, and the slush fund that we're not allowed to see.
We should
That
absolutely
should be
see the
aired,
slush fund.
like now.
Yes.
Yes.
It should be
It
absolutely
should be
now.
released.
Epstein's
now you
dead.
have-
You
you
could
have-
say anything about Epstein now. He's dead. That's what
Yeah,
they
of
do.
course.
It's terrible, but he's dead.
Yeah. You
So
have
you could say
Bobart.
Epstein told me that this guy and this guy and this guy. I mean,
course.
you could just make up anything.
I mean, that's words, but if you have proof and video and emails, that's a lot different.
Right.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
want to know. I personally, we're talking about Epstein. I want to know what happened to all those boxes of video that they carried out of that place.
Oh, you bet.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. Do you remember Anna Polina Luna said that they had somebody come to her from the FBI and told her that they were ordered by James Comey to destroy evidence in the mansion in New York. That's including videotapes, all types of stuff.
I'm talking
Right.
about what they took from the island.
I'm sure that
They
was
were-
destroyed too.
They
And
were
my
on
guess is,
video carrying all of that out of there.
Yeah,
So,
my
there
guess is
needs to
that
be
was
some kind of
probably-
accountability for those videos.
probably
and the hard
destroyed.
drives.
Probably destroyed, or it's in one of those random offices in the FBI where they just happen to find these documents, right? That
Right.
people
Right.
just in burn bags, But that's the frustration
That's right.
people have with this. And then you have Todd Blanche coming out and going, "We're done with it. No more info for the American people on Epstein. We're putting the lid on it and we're getting rid of it." And then automatically you're going to have people go, "Well, who are you protecting?" And then you've got Lauren Bobart coming out there asking why everybody's so horny in Congress while there's a video of her getting fondled in a movie theater by some random dude while she was married.
Mhm.
You see, they're all hypocrites. That's the problem. That's the problem we have. We are sending people to Washington, D.C. to represent good, hardworking Americans that are highly flawed. And not only are they flawed, a lot of them become corrupt. Maybe they go there with great intentions. Right? But again, I feel like a lot of these people are sat down, like I said about little Mike Johnson the other night, sat down in a skiff, said, "Hey, you're gonna kind of vote the way we want you to." Right? We already know they do that by campaign funding campaigns and stuff like that. We know the leader of the House and the House Minority Leader control a lot of the money and funding campaigns and injecting money into campaigns. And, well, if you don't do what they like, you lose your committee seats. you lose your support and campaign, additional campaign support.
When the congressman from Florida was getting rid of the Speaker of the House from California,
Yeah, Matt Gaetz.
Matt Gaetz, frickin' Rogers went after him to beat his ass on the floor. Did you remember that? They had to separate the two.
That.
They had to separate them.
I do.
Right.
I do remember that. And here we are. We as the American taxpayers, the people that are funding this slush fund and paying all these dirtbag salaries,
that's an automatic.
We need that.
Yeah,
and we're never going to get it. We're not going to get it because these people are all in on it.
They can defend themselves. They can defend themselves and just say, look, it was easier to pay this person off, whatever. They can defend themselves, right? A lot of people can't. So, I mean, that's an automatic.
They'll just use our money.
Yeah, but the dead people, the people that have already passed, like this Tony Gonzalez staffer, she killed herself. You know how she killed herself? I found this out today.
Immolation.
Yeah, she lit herself on fire. That's a pretty brutal way to go out. That sounds
like somebody that has a mental issue.
Yeah.
And to be honest, listen.
Yeah.
Like I said, bad. Like I said, having an affair with somebody and date raping somebody with knocking them out, that's two different. They're both things. Horrible. Don't get me wrong. No. They're both despicable.
Right.
You should be take your marriage vows very seriously. Right. You under God, you commit yourself to one person, and you need to. That's what you need to do. If you're not happy in a relationship, leave. But there's a far difference between drugging women,
right,
and raping them, and having a booty call in the side.
Yeah, it seems like they're really good at fornicating. They just can't balance a budget. They can't fix a pothole, and they think they go up to Washington instead of representing their. In Eric Swalwell's case, 650,000 people. In Tony Gonzalez's district, it was 820,000 people. So instead of representing them, they represent the rest of the world and give all of our money away overseas instead of helping the American people.
The 17th Amendment to the Constitution allowed for that.
Yeah.
We had to repeal the 17th. So
whatever that is. You're a lot smarter than me, Big Tony. So yeah, I mean, I just want some potholes fixed. You know what I mean? It's just
right.
It's like I want some potable water, and they got to give us some bond money to build waste management systems in Florida because all you guys are moving to Florida. We ain't got the facilities to handle all the poop that's coming our way. Let me tell you.
Well, that sounds like your problem to fix, not the people that are moving there.
Here, I have a sign for you, Carl. Let me get it out for you. Oh, there it is. Yeah, let me come.
Well, you know what? You should all be afraid. What you should really be afraid of is the people that are moving there, and bringing their politics with them. That's what would scare me the most. Because here in Pennsylvania, we're really a fairly conservative state. The problem is that we have all these scumbags come from New York because it's cheaper to live here. So they come here, they live here, they still work in New York, right? And we have the losers from Jersey, right? The people that they want to work in Jersey, right? And they come here and they live and they ruin our state, and we end up with a Josh Shapiro. A low-life piece of crap, just my opinion, Josh Shapiro, and that's what I would be afraid of if I were you. But speaking of Jacob,
and I am.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're probably starting to see that a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You got these people coming in. Let's be honest. People from the Northeast, we're not the friendliest people.
No, especially from Connecticut. Man, you guys must whip each other at your grocery stores or something. I don't know what it is, man.
I don't know anybody from Connecticut, so
maybe they have a Karen. They get a degree in Karen, man. They just oof.
Yeah, it's funny because from the Northeast, the way we talk to each other.
Well, I
people
mean,
are like, oh my God, but to us, it's normal. It's just
you talk
joking
about that
around.
degree and Karen, the funny thing is in a number of our colleges here in the United States, you can actually get that degree.
Oh, I bet. Well, and they can get our Southern degree when we say, "Well, bless your heart," because that's code word. That's code word for up yours, buddy. Well, bless your heart.
So, what do we got?
Yeah, stop telling our Southern secrets,
So, in special election in New Jersey for U.S. House, Republic over. So, Democrat wins the special election in New Jersey for U.S. House over Joe Hawthorne.
I got news for you.
There's another one we lost, folks.
They're tied
Another
in.
special election the Democrats took from the Republicans. Don't worry about the midterms, guys. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, you're going to have guys getting 81 million votes from who knows where, man. Good luck. They haven't fixed it. They haven't fixed anything.
I think you're going to have a problem getting the youth off their ass to come out and vote because when you have Todd Blanche coming out, and by the way, JD Vance got blasted for this at the TPAC thing the other night that there was barely anybody there. Erica Kirk made up some excuse that there was a threat on their life. It came out today. Secret Service says there was no credible threat on her life at all. And besides, JD Vance went there. She just didn't want to go because she didn't want to face the criticism. That's why she didn't want to go. Right? That she was going to be questions probably about things that she didn't want to talk about. So she just made up an excuse not to go. JD Vance faced the music, though. I will say I love JD Vance. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I like him.
Absolutely.
But now you have people pushing Marco.
I like DeSantis. I like DeSantis.
Remember how anti-Trump Marco was? Remember, he was one of those people too. When the Capitol was when J6 happened, he was another one. I was like, "Oh, Trump took it too far. Oh, this and that." Do you ever think maybe Marco loves war? Right? He seems to love war. You notice how everybody's talking about Marco for president right now? Oh, Marco's going to be president. Yeah, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe because George Bush wants his party back.
Right.
And Marco would be the perfect neocon to throw in there.
Well, I tell you, take a look
as
at DeSantis.
A wolf in sheep's clothing.
Take a look at DeSantis.
To wrangle the... I like Ron DeSantis. I wish, to be honest, that he would have just waited because I think he would have probably been Trump's pick for VP.
Yep.
I like JD Vance, and I'm okay with that, but I think that the rhinos and the George Bushes around the world are trying to position Marco for that presidential run because they know that he's more of a neocon and pro-war than JD Vance. JD Vance is actually pretty anti-war.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so you're hearing all these drum beats for Marco. Oh, Marco, look at Marco. Oh, look, he's really presidential. There's a reason you're hearing that, folks. They're trying to condition
predictive
you.
Programming. Yeah, right. Conditioning, predictive programming, setting up.
Yeah. What about this one? While we're worried about fighting a battle for Israel and Iran, we've got a Chinese man, 32 years old. He's on his postdoctorate research, Indiana University, smuggles in E. coli in underwear. Right? So he's getting all this underwear from this
perfect place for it.
From this biotech company in China, having it sent into our country, in women's undergarment, right? And they just happened to find him. If he would have just used men's undergarment, they would have never found it.
Right?
So he's smuggling an
What
E.
was
coli from
You-
China.
You guys don't.
Why? And he's
women's
here on an
underwear?
H-1B
I
visa.
wear women's underwear. It's
Of
very
course you do.
comfortable. Very-
And he's here on an H-1B visa.
Yeah, I thought there was something funny about you. Oh,
I know.
We know it. Look at the
Like,
shirt.
like nothing surprises me, Carl. I mean, I was just telling my wife tonight. I saw the videos of the Chinese people coming across the border
Yes.
in a single line, wearing the same clothes, wearing the same backpacks. Now we have missing scientists. Come on.
I mean, it literally looked like a military
Yeah.
force.
It
Right.
did.
You know?
And we have this Chinese man sentenced to 1 year in prison for smuggling thousands of live ants from Kenya. Why?
An invasive species.
Oh, it's great. Fantastic.
I mean, we have all these Chinese people, and I'm being told by everybody that China's not like Iran's our biggest threat. I'm sorry, I just don't see it, folks. I just don't. I don't see it.
Well, truthfully
So-
and honestly, all our biggest threats are right here in America.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's one of them. These students coming over, stealing our jobs from our youth, right? You had
They took out our birch trees. All of our birch trees came from bugs that were in pallets from overseas.
those lantern flies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all over here, man.
Yeah.
They're just starting to release. Good luck having a vegetable garden out back. These things and they're stupid too. They fly right into you.
Yeah, China would not. You had to like have a certificate. Your pallets were all treated and pressured and whatever before China would accept pallets. So I had to send plastic pallets to China, and then they would keep them. All right, instead of sending them back with the stuff they were manufacturing back to us, they would take them and trade one plastic pallet for a chicken. And I sent the scathing letter to our factory, and I said, you don't send us back our pallets. It's going to be trouble. There's going to be trouble here, guys. So it was like,
They say, come get 'em.
yeah.
So Jacob, what do you think they could be doing with smuggling in E. coli into our country?
Lots.
What do you think that could be about?
My guess is that they would do something. I don't know. People are gonna think biochemical warfare, at first.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest. I will say this, because I do get people, especially that read too much and that are still in the medical system. They'll always come to me saying, "Have you heard about this new bug that they found? There's nothing. There's no drug that can mess with it." I said, "Yeah, I'm not surprised. You do understand that drugs tend to make good bugs go bad."
Yeah.
And make weird variations of that bug randomly appear. Why do you think that is? That's funny is you use natural remedies, whether it's herbs. We'll just say your natural stuff.
Sure.
They're not resistant to that. They'll be resistant to man-made antibiotics or other inventions.
We see that with penicillin. Too much penicillin in your body can turn make it resistant.
And now you do know that penicillin is a mold toxin, and mold toxin is a powerful immunosuppressant. That's why they make organ transplant medications out of them. Remember, what nearly killed me was mold poisons. And so when people do a lot of antibiotics and stuff, not only do they start getting antibiotic resistant genes, but they're also slowly, or in some cases acutely, poisoning themselves with mold toxins, mycotoxins. And that's they're carcinogens. So they can cause liver cancer, kidney cancer, brain cancer.
You don't think that the E. coli was anything nefarious? Do you think he was bringing it in to stuff?
Probably is. I mean, it probably is.
I don't think he was bringing it in to stuff.
If he's smuggling in E. coli and it was determined, I mean, we're leaving a lot to assumption there. If you knowingly smuggled in E. coli for the sake of having the E. coli, it's probably going to be studied, and they're going to make some type of product with it. Now, whether that product
it's like, don't we have E. coli here? Do you really need to smuggle it in? I'm sure your lab, my guess is your lab at your school would probably have access to some form of E. coli for you to.
Well, there's lots of different
strains. There's different strains.
I mean,
and
let's see, does it say what strain it is?
Well, in my world, we see E. coli, and we measure E. coli a lot in people's guts. Part of our advanced gut testing, we can see that. People be freaked out to know that C. diff is also a natural commensal part of their gut bacteria as well.
Plasmid DNA derived from E. coli. That's what it was.
Okay, so realize this, that although it's not supposed to be happening, there is a lot of gain of function research going on in the United States.
Oh, absolutely. So, it's funny. I was joking with Skillet today, telling him we were going to talk about Lyme disease and Operation Mongoose that happened.
I have all this research right here. I have all this stuff to share with you on Cuba.
He went and got everything there was.
They were talking about poisoning his cigars. They had a pilot that flew over there with these ticks, and he was told to come back, abort it. When he came back, he was told to burn all of his clothing, everything for that mission. 3 weeks later, his newborn son ends up getting a horrible fever, going to the hospital, and ends up suffering from an undisclosed disease.
Right.
Yep. And so then our government thought it was a good idea to take radioactive ticks and release them out into the public. I forget the island that they released it on. I can't think for some reason, but they released this on an island, not thinking that the deer would swim across the channel and that the birds would fly across. And so they started migrating these ticks, these radioactive ticks, all over the United States.
Great.
And people started getting Rocky Mountain fever in what was it, Missouri or something like that, or I can't remember, Michigan maybe. Rocky Mountain fever and all these other diseases that just aren't local to this region.
Yeah.
So was Lyme disease created by our government? I would say probably.
Well, they have a big dungy problem in Cuba right now, and
a lot of the diseases that we know today were actually created by us, by our government, by us, with additives and et cetera in our foods, et cetera, pesticides, et cetera, all kinds of stuff. A lot of the diseases were actually created by us.
Glyphosate.
Yeah. I'm gonna give a tiny bit of push.
That's a good example.
Right there. Yeah. I'm gonna give a tiny bit of pushback on some of this, just for a little clarification. So, you will have Lyme out in Europe as well. I'm trying to think of the specific forest range. I don't remember if it's the Black Forest or where, but a couple of my chiro friends talked about this. We'll say Lyme has a number of co-infections that go with it too. We test for a lot of those. It's not just Borrelia. There's Ehrlichia, Rickettsia, Babesia, Bartonella. We find that a lot in people. There are ways to fix that. I've got docs who have either healed themselves, reversed their Lyme disease, or their patients or their family members, documented. It's not a lifelong illness, but to your point, Tony, what you just mentioned, you have so many diseases today. They're not contagious, so to speak. They are lifestyle ill. They are lifestyle. You earn this disease, whether you know it or not. It's because we live in a very synthetic world. The ever increasing amount of metals, chemicals, and then biotoxins.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's poisoning the body. And one thing that doesn't get talked about enough, because when you see this stuff come out about Lyme disease, they say, "Oh, it was a government created thing." Maybe you do have some issue with certain ticks that only have certain genes, or like a small number of genes, and then certain ticks that have like 300 something plus genes. And say, okay, maybe there's something funky going on there. I'm not going to debate that.
For example, just a few hundred years ago, you never heard of anybody having a peanut allergy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just look at autism. When we were kids, and you never heard of autism. It was very rare. Same thing with Down syndrome was very rare. Yeah. Now it's like every other, like, I don't even know the statistics. I'm sure we could get them, but
1 in 4. You're getting like to 1 in 10 or 1 in 4 children by, I think it's 2050. I think before it was like 1 in 36.
Minnesota, it's really high.
Yeah, when I was a kid,
that was just fraud. I forgot.
When I was a child, you never heard of anybody being diagnosed as autistic ever.
No, because it wasn't. It wasn't there.
It did exist. It was just extremely rare. Okay. However, as time goes on, it's less rare. Now, part of that is due to the broadening of the definition of autism.
Right. It's one way you can mask things is by diluting it down, like the new whatever Canada's thing of the indigenous missing women added to the LGBTQ IA plus whatever thing.
These wallets are really hard on your ass.
On the autistic.
So I want to say a couple things about this, Tony. One, when it comes to a lot of these things, whether it's a tick or like where people get Lyme disease, why they get so much more of it. The problem is not even so much the bug itself, meaning we're freaked out. We think that germs are the problem. You know that you have trillions of germs that are living on your skin and inside of your body that help maintain the proper function of your body. The germ is not the problem. It's called the terrain, the environment which they live in. And we have to understand that germs have the God-given ability to change their form and their function based on the environment. It's a concept called pleomorphism. The medical system has denied it for a long time, although it's very, very, very real. What we find happen is when, in the presence of a lot of these poisons, good bugs turn bad. They're trying to clean up or remediate the environment, and you get caught in the crossfire. That's where we get a lot of these nasty so-called infections. Sometimes you just have stuff that doesn't need to be in there, but this is where parasites come in. This is where parasites can become a problem. This relates to a lot of times it's Lyme, and I even know some docs that'll tell you that Lyme has been reversed in people simply by clearing out parasites and poisons. And it turns out that Lyme disease, even though we had all the tests that found it, it just went away on its own. So it's not even always the Lyme. It's the fact that everybody is so overloaded with a ton of toxic crap, and what they think that they're doing for healthcare, even if it's natural, chances are they're not doing anything at all. They're just spinning their wheels, buying a whole bunch of, supplements, overdosing on vitamin D and thinking that they're staying healthy. And it's lunacy. Well, there's my rant for the evening.
Yeah. So Carl said, yeah, we got the disease in Cuba. So I said, well, they have, I'm trying to share with it, but I don't know why.
Hold on. I'm going to do it right now. I gotta allow you to.
Oh,
I'm in control still.
All right. So this is downtown Havana. Okay.
Oh, that looks sanitary.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Check out this one.
Hey, that's the perfect place to live. Take
here you go.
My kids down there.
Yeah. Here's this one. I'm trying to share. I don't know why it won't let me.
You got to probably exit out of that and then pop up another one.
Yeah, Skillet, you have a whole bunch of different tabs open for each photo.
Yeah, right. So you got to share that tab.
That won't work. You have to close that one and manually share the next one.
I don't I don't even know how to
Hit stop sharing.
stop. Okay, got it.
Okay, and then share the next
Share
one.
the next tab.
Okay.
Yeah. Even looking at this stuff right now, you can already tell this is going to be a great breeding ground for all sorts of.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to worry
Welcome
about
to Havana.
you don't.
Welcome to Havana.
And did you notice the person in the? Did you notice the person in the background of that picture with the stroller?
Yeah, you don't have. Yeah,
Can I
you
get
don't.
you a bird?
Yeah, you don't have to drop
don't
anything
think that
into
is it.
Cuba. They're going to have diseases over there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're going to have diseases over
Yum.
there just on their own, right?
Yum.
Now, you know what the interesting thing is?
So you should
Skillet?
be able to Skillet. You should be able, if you click
Just
on the next
isolate the-
picture,
Mhm.
you should be able. There should be a thing say share this instead, and then click on it, and it'll just switch
Right.
it to it.
Right.
Okay, hopefully.
Now, I will say,
We should just isolate the island
Yeah.
of Cuba.
Oh, that looks great.
know,
Yeah,
that
this is
nothing leaves
this
and
is
nothing
this is
enter, and they'll eradicate
Yeah,
their own selves.
they don't have any infrastructure. The infrastructure that they have is 60, 70 years old with no maintenance.
Ugh.
Okay,
Mhm.
so good luck in Cuba. That's all I can say. I mean, that's, if you want to live like that, have at it. That's 100% right there.
And well, that's what most of the Middle East looks like. When you're looking at
Right.
Gaza, that's what Gaza
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at certain parts of Syria, that's what Syria looks like. I mean, you had Iran was a fairly modern place in the Middle East until
Correct.
we destroyed it.
Right. And
Well, I mean, they were fairly modern up until 1979
yeah.
when the Muslims took over,
Yeah, I mean, but even,
and we got them here trying to do the same thing.
so, the Tehran and all that was a fairly modern city at this point
Yeah.
in the Middle East, one of the more modern ones.
but there hasn't
Besides
been a war.
Dubai, I mean,
Yeah, but there hasn't been a war in Cuba. This is just how they live.
well,
It's- Yeah,
it's called communism, baby.
it's
Get ready,
decay.
New York. It's coming your way.
It's
Right.
just decay.
Right?
Yeah, it's just
It's already starting
Yeah.
in New York.
it's
How
just
great is that?
decay. It's decay. So good luck. And you notice there's no buses.
You
There's
know,
no
that's what happens.
transportation.
That's what happens when you run out of other people's money.
Right.
That's exactly
Right.
what
Right,
happens when you
exactly.
run out of other people's money.
And so they're voting
That's
voting on
the
this
problem with
TPC, right?
communism.
They take half the population out of Haiti. And we've already gone through the history of Haiti. 40 years ago, all the countries got together. They plowed billions of dollars into Haiti, and they don't have anything to show for it, right? Nothing. So
Well, no, because the Clintons robbed and pillaged it.
now,
They went in and they stole all the gold. Clinton's brother, they stole all the money that was supposed to rebuild. They were supposed to use to rebuild. What they
Right.
put a hut up or two of mud
Right.
and sticks, and then they robbed the country of the gold and left.
yeah. And then on their
and that's what happened. They talk about, you had Kamala Harris out there. Remember when she was border czar, when she wasn't really border czar?
yeah.
Remember that? She was trying to say it was climate change. This is climate change that's
Yeah,
causing
that
this.
That was something
No,
that they
it's
floated
called-
through. Yeah.
It's called the Clintons. It's called the globalists. It's called the Chinese coming in with their Belt and Road Initiative, where they promise countries that they're going to come in and rebuild the country. They steal all the rare earth minerals, turn the people of that country into slaves of China, and build a
leave.
road or two,
Yeah, leave.
and
Yeah.
then leave. That's what
Yeah.
happens.
And now Russia's bringing in a tanker of oil into Cuba, going, well, we'll help, but we got a war going on right now, so whatever. And I'm not in any hurry to fix Cuba. Let them wallow
Fuck
in it.
that. We've got a crumbling infrastructure in
Yeah.
America. We can't even get
We have a $30 million
internet out to the rural parts of
Yeah.
of America.
We got a $30 million grocery store that is going to be built in New York City in the next 3 years. We've got to get that up and
Be
running.
open till 29. won't even be open till 29.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're paying,
It's gonna be
$30 million
something, too.
for this thing. And I guarantee you, mark my words, it won't last 6 months.
No.
Of course not. And if it does, it's just lasting on subsidies from the federal government. God forbid we lose the presidency. It'll survive on federal subsidies. That's everybody else around the country paying for this grocery store for these lowlives to be able to go in there, illegal invaders to be able to go in there and get cheap groceries, while the rest of us are paying out the balloon knot for groceries.
Yeah, they just missed out on this farmer that had to throw away like $25,000 worth of potatoes because people aren't eating potato chips anymore. They're all on Ozempic, and they're not hungry for snacks and stuff. So
I eat potato chips.
I would gladly take those potatoes.
Love potato chips.
Yeah,
maybe, but yeah, I was popping some this morning.
Right,
just as long as they're made with good ingredients.
Yeah.
I had these great potato chips from Costco. They were cooked in beef talon. I forget the brand, but man, those were good. The only problem with Costco, I will. The only problem with Costco is they get them in, and they sell like hotcakes, and then it's like months before you see them again.
We'll see it again. Yeah.
Right. So the next time I know I gotta buy like 5 bags, which would be a bad thing. My wife won't let me do that. And I say to her, hon, I try to convince. I said, hon, I've got a really good life insurance policy. You should really let me eat all these potato chips. I kind of, try to.
That's funny. You think that they're bad for you?
No. I mean, I don't. I'm sure if I ate 5 bags, probably would be
I only say that, man. I'm always having these conversations. People don't know what is healthy. They don't know what to eat. They don't know how to eat. They don't know how to cook their food. It's no wonder we're in the predicament we're in, because we're all fat, sick, and stupid.
Wow. Yeah, that's an American thing right now, it seems like.
So, Tony, I was gonna say something real quick, since you were mentioning earlier about people not having peanut allergies. I'm sure that you've correlated that to putting the proteins of those things, whether it's chickens, human, fetal tissue, or peanuts and stuff. You put them in the vaccines, then people start getting really, really, really strong allergic reactions. Just tangentially, do you know that polio is still around?
Polio.
Yeah, y'all know that polio still happens, right?
Sure.
Okay. Can you guess what 75% of cases of polio are caused by? The polio vaccine. Did you know that vaccines can and do cause the very thing that they are trying to prevent? It's not.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a dead version. You've got a dead version of the virus that they're supposedly injecting you with, so that your body builds up the antibody to fight it off. Sometimes you can have a reverse action where you actually cause that virus to awaken again, and it attacks you.
By the way, a little bit of trivia. The polio vaccine was a case of the United States government experimenting on its people.
Okay. All right. Let's take it a little bit further. Did the polio vaccine stop polio?
No, when I played Marco Polio in the pool, right? Remember? That's what stopped it.
Well, interesting thing to look at for anybody that
wants to
follow. Did the circle.
My bathing suit always fell off when you played that game, Carl. I don't know what you were doing, but you were like up under there.
What?
You had a lot of things happen. I would say you had a lot of things happening around that time. You had unsanitary conditions.
The kid with the funny looking crutches comes up and yells at you.
But even back then, you had.
How did that game start?
Allergies. I don't.
How did that game start? Like, hey, you want to play Marco Polio?
Marco Polio. They jumped off the ship, in Asia, and then they play Marco Polio. They were all Portuguese, Italian, Italian. Hey,
Hey!
Swimming around the ship.
I think they were playing hide the sausage.
Yeah,
I'm
they were
just saying.
definitely playing hide the sausage.
How did we get here? Anyway, go back, take us back off of this this diversion there.
No, the
Jacob.
polio.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was just saying real quick is, when it comes to our health, so many things that we think that we've been told are dubious at best and flat out lie at worst. When it comes to if you look at the decline of polio, this was due in large part to sanitary conditions, municipalities getting better sanitation. A lot of illnesses that we have today back then were fixed, one, by sanitation, and two, they were spraying kids with DDT and all these other things, a lot of harmful chemicals and high concentrations back in the day. And if you want to talk about conspiracies and cooking the books on data, a little bait and switch, we need to look at when did it start getting reclassified around the same time that we said that the rates were dropping off? Did it get translated to transverse myelitis or Guillain-Barré? So that's all I was going to say about that.
Okay, so you had the United Fruit Company down in Panama and Nicaragua and wherever else. I mean, all through South America growing bananas. Then you had the Panama Canal. We lost like 100,000 workers at the Panama Canal because of mosquitoes. DDT was invented in Orlando. It was right off Princeton, right?
And it worked.
Princeton. And it worked because they had to invent something. And then when we were island hopping through,
my mom used to rub DDT all over me when I was a kid. Look, I'm fine.
No, not DDT.
I have no
Your
hair.
mother rubbed DEETs on you, okay, Carl?
Yeah.
DEETs, not DDT, okay? DDT was a
No,
film
they just had
spray
trucks
on
that
water.
sprayed it right out into the air, going down your street.
Right.
Kids would play in it. Yeah.
They would spray DDT on.
No, I'm pretty sure
water.
my mom sprayed DDT on me because I had a film on me.
DDT on you. But it was a film they put on water. But they used
Carl.
that during World War II in Japan when they were island hopping because everybody was getting malaria. So it's a problem. So now they outlawed it, and now we get sick in Indonesia and Vietnam and all over
Carl,
those islands.
What effect did that have on the marine life, like the fish?
Who cares? It was World War II, man. You were going to get killed by a bunch of
mutations.
Yeah,
Carl, I can at least tell you this: DDT
Don't
is
worry
linked to
about
liver
Flipper.
cancer, pancreatic cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, kidney disease, obesity, ovarian disease, prostate.
You're welcome. Orlando, you're welcome.
Now, what's crazy too? Look, our toxicity testing, I still find DDT, like we test for its metabolite. DDT still pops up in people, even young folks. The problem is that it can get passed down through the umbilical cord to the mom. So the mom detoxes DDT into you, and it just, you might have 2 or 3 generations that DDT being passed down. But yeah, it's a problem. And even though that we banned that, however many years ago, the fact is a lot of these pollutants still affect us today, even though they're not actively in circulation.
But it works so well.
I know it works so well.
Carl,
and then we could also ask
question.
another question. Why did our mosquitoes get so bad, or why? You can start asking those questions because
I have questions about mosquitoes.
Every question brings up a whole lot more.
It does.
If
you know anything about gardening or just farming, is usually when bugs come at something. I mean, it's not a hard truth, but it is interesting that the ecosystem is delicately balanced. That you'll see if something's wrong with the crop, it'll start to get eaten. And so the entire
Carl, to your question, what does that do to the water life? You've seen the video of that guy fishing off a bridge down in Florida, and he pulls up this monstrosity that has what can only be estimated or described as a semi-human face and arms, but it's a fish.
What?
Most everybody's seen that. It went viral.
I think I missed that one. But go
I'll have to get it. I'll have to find
Pull
it
it
and
up.
send it to you.
You can pull it up. Go ahead. Find it and
What,
pull it up.
Let
I
me
gotta see this now.
Let me
yeah,
Are
well,
you sure it wasn't just like an aborted baby somebody hooked?
but I did
No,
hear
it was a
something,
fish you had
you
a
know,
tail.
Asking. I mean, I'm not saying that's what it was.
but from Secretary Kennedy's hearing today or yesterday, bits from it I heard today. The greatest thing I heard from it was we have to stop treating the population with you know what do you call it?
Vaccines.
Vaccines,
Immunizations.
immunizations, vaccines. We have to start treating the patient. You know, each individual patient.
Well,
because
yeah,
they're
because
so
if you think,
concerned.
you got to think
Yeah.
about this, folks. You
Right.
know, it's like they're filling your kids with all these jabs.
Mhm.
We'll say jabs because of YouTube. Jabs. You know what? As soon as they come out of the womb,
Right.
you know, you should at least give a year for God's sakes,
Yeah,
and then start
both of my
implementing those things in.
yeah, both of my kids, they didn't have any of the shots for the kids yet. None. Zero.
No,
Yeah.
no.
That
My
schedule
my
ramped up.
oldest, my youngest daughter Abby, we didn't get her vaccinated.
It was
No,
after
refused to.
89 when you started having so many of
Well,
that
because
schedule come up, and now you're what 72 or 80 before the kids are 12.
yeah,
If you let
well, they were
other way.
also starting when Abby was born. They were starting to take a lot of shots and combine them.
Hmm.
You know, they were combining them together, and they were giving like multiple at one shot. You know what I mean? Instead of
Right,
incrementing
DTaP,
them in.
MMR.
You know, and it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, let's just pause this. And we got a lot of crap for it, but I didn't care. You know, I'm like, wait a minute, this just doesn't seem right to me.
Right.
And
Well,
she's fine. She's healthy.
We have doctor friends that are begging them to get, you know, vaccines and immunizations and stuff, but it's like the girls are like,
Well,
no.
you know, my question always was on this, right? We've been vaccinated so much through generation. Wouldn't that immunity from the vaccination be passed on at some point through our DNA?
If it were correct, then yes, but that only happens through our natural God-given immunities. And some of these things that we go through, going through that illness actually confers a benefit for later on in life.
Of course, yeah.
So we are so there's things that we're mistaking. Probably one of the things that people probably don't know today, but y'all remember you would used to have chickenpox parties, so the kids would get chickenpox.
Right.
And we knew that if you gave the kids chickenpox now, this helped them grow. This helped prevent something much worse in the past. So people don't understand that part of being, or what we would say, being sick. Sometimes that's just your body doing its spring cleaning. It's running a program, a clarifying program, but we haven't been educated to understand any of this. What do they say? What is what's the remedy for the common cold? The cold. It is the remedy.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, they say what's the saying, and I don't know how true it is. I'm not sure if it's an old wives' tale, but you never can get the same cold twice, right? Because you build up an immunity to it.
Right, and then we have to ask ourselves, I mean, what is it anyway in the first place?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, why do you think you have to take a different flu shot every
Right,
Yeah, I
and
don't-
the effectiveness
I-
is,
It's a
and the
different
effectiveness
strain-
is
different
waning
strain
every
of the
year.
flu.
Sometimes it's down 20% by the time that they try to grab these.
It's never right.
Strains.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't take them. I don't
No.
get a flu shot. No.
I don't
And
either.
finally, that's assuming that virology, as we've been told, even exists. Because there's other competing theories that I think have more weight that explain what a virus is. You'll know I never mention virus in terms of things that are living or things that we actually work with. I always call it a toxicity because parasites actually create viruses. They create viruses as communication signals when they create a bunch of biofilms, and a lot of our products and formulas or protocols break that stuff down. So it's really interesting to see parasites create viruses, and they use them as text messages, wireless signals to tell people about the conditions, what's going on. That blows people's mind. So a lot of what we think that we know about health again, is half truth at best, or just complete, bat crap crazy at worst.
Well, tomorrow morning we do whatever happens on tomorrow's 17th, right? So whatever happened on the 17th, tomorrow we're the show's going to have the Paul Revere ride to announce that the British
are coming,
right? And so I always knew this about Paul Revere. He was also a silversmith, and he was also kind of a spy, because he would go through British lines and communicate. But he was part of the Signal Corps, and that's a big thing. Part of the Army is part of the Signal Corps. The North Army had a Signal Corps, and the Confederates had a Signal Corps. And so the Battle of Fredericksburg, the North was the first time they ever used balloons to send up the observers, and then they had to signal where the Confederates were and that kind of stuff. The guy who charged $5,000 a day for that balloon in Fredericksburg in the United States did not have the money to pay him, so he didn't go up. He went up when they paid him, and when they didn't pay him, the balloon stayed on the ground. Okay, just so you know, right? So
he sounds like a real patriot.
Yeah. So yeah, well, they were all making money. Yeah, there was a lot of people making money. Yeah, the shoes, the pants, the uniforms, the backpacks, the guns. There are a lot of people making money in the Civil War. But in the Revolutionary War, they had the Signal Corps, and the Signal Corps would use the cannons to signal to the generals, the officers, of certain things.
I can't find it right
What's
now.
up, Starman?
So if they shot the cannon once, that might mean to retreat. If they shot it twice, it means bring up the reinforcement. So they had signal cannons. If it went like 3 times, it was like they're moving to the east, to the west, they're moving back, whatever. But the British never knew what the hell we were doing. It was something that George Washington had developed. So there was a lot of new. Signal Corps was really cool, and that's what Paul Revere was part of. I mean, so when they say, you rode a horse, well, he's probably a very good horseman. Grant was a good horseman. If you were a very good rider, you could do a lot of things, that they had, that you needed to ride between the towns and the cities and that kind of thing, to get the news out. So yeah, but it was interesting. Tomorrow's going to be a good show. Big Tony, you going to be there tomorrow? Maybe. Okay.
We'll see.
I got you.
I got your link.
I
I
got you. It's a tough hour. It's a lot better than 5 a.m. though. I'll tell you that. Oh my God. I don't have to go to sleep at 7 o'clock anymore.
Here's the thing. The reason why I say we'll see is I let time slip up on me. I did not go to sleep until after I got off of your show this morning. So
oh my God.
I had let time slip up on me, and then I realized it was time, to come on the Panic and Rehab. So yeah, I didn't, and then I only got just like a couple of hours.
You got to get sleep.
And Marilyn was waking me up. Hey,
you definitely got to get sleep. Real quick, remember when I was talking about be wary of little Marco Rubio?
Yeah,
and him being a bush pick. Here we go.
I he may very well be the next president of the United States. I know Mark Rubio better, and I know that Mark Rubio is very strongly supportive of Israel. I don't think Vance is anti-Israel. I think he's just anti-American involvement in foreign wars. I think he's, part of the much more America first isolationist. But look,
that right there, baby, that tells you everything you need to know.
He's a real tidy dude in there, isn't he? Wow, you go in there and look at his art, and you got to move this basket of used clothes or dirty clothes over to see a Rembrandt. Yeah. Now tomorrow's going to be.
Hey, supposedly he got a massage by Epstein, but he was wearing his underwear. So
now tomorrow show you're going to like, Carl, because it's serious independence. Tomorrow is serious independence from the French, 1946. See, you're going to love it.
Well, Syria now is becoming a
Damascus.
A thorn will become a thorn in the ass of of Israel, and that'll be the next place that the United States will have to go in. You know, and you know what's funny to me? I was talking about this last night. I just have to say this. You know, we were told that Operation Midnight Hammer was it, right? Then we were told this is it. There's going to be no troops on the ground. Now you're hearing people talk about, oh, we got to get troops on the ground.
Yeah, 10,000.
They're slow walking us into a never-ending war. What people that have to really understand is as soon as boots hit the ground in Iran, we're there. We're there. As soon as we take Keg Island, Oil Island, whatever the hell you want to call it, we're there indefinitely. And Israel already came out and said they don't want boots on the ground. They're not taking any of their soldiers and putting them in Iran or on the straits. It's us. It's us. Why us? Why us? I want to share one more video with everybody because, well, I think this is important to see what's happening in Lebanon.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Israeli military today launched 3 consecutive attacks on 3 different teams of paramedics, all operating in the southern Lebanese town of Meyfadoun. And what we heard from the Lebanese health ministry was that first there was a paramedic team that, as is normal, responded to an emergency call. They were going to the site of an Israeli airstrike where there were wounded people they needed to rescue. And as they were arriving to Meyfadoun, they were hit by an Israeli drone strike, killing 2 paramedics at that site and wounding others. And then the paramedics sent yet another team in order to rescue that first team. And as they were arriving to the town, another Israeli strike hit that team and wounded 3 of those paramedics. So then the civil defense decided to send yet a third team in order to rescue the first and the second teams. They were also hit when arriving to the town. Another 2 paramedics were killed in that third strike and more were wounded.
Are you guys okay with that? Because I'm not. I'm not okay with that. I'm just not. And you know, your mainstream media, they're not going to cover that. Your Newsmax and your Fox News, because they're all in on this. They love the fact that we're talking boots on the ground in Israel. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, you had Mark Levin come out and say, we've got to get all the uranium out of there. I think I played the clip. We got to get all the uranium out of there. We got to go in there and we got to get the uranium out. Now you're hearing rumbles of that.
We gave them. Didn't Hillary Clinton give them uranium?
That was Russia.
Yeah, she gave that to Russia.
Yeah. But my point is okay, so we've been told that we've destroyed Operation Midnight Hammer. We destroyed all their nuclear facilities, right? Destroyed all of them. Then we've been told we killed all of their top scientists. They have no military. They have no Air Force. They have no
Navy.
Navy.
They have no more submarines.
Right. But now they have uranium and they still have the capacity to make nuclear weapons. So I'm confused here. What is it?
They have already
what is it?
Uranium. They already have uranium.
All right.
They're negotiators.
No, but I thought we destroyed it all. I thought we destroyed all their.
We destroyed their
They still distributed. They're not going to keep all of it in one place, Carl.
Well, I thought the Israelis gave us the intelligence where it all was.
Yeah, but what the negotiators
because Mossad was in there on the ground. They were in there on the ground.
What the Iranian negotiators did was they told the negotiation team from the U.S. that they have enough uranium to make 10 weapons and they're going to use them. And they were either they were kidding or what. Well, whatever they were doing, their leadership went bye-bye. So there you go, So
well, we killed all their top nuclear scientists. We were told.
Well, scientists can be hired.
Well, of course,
or kidnapped and made to work,
Well, but come on. when does it end?
I mean, for Christ's
Well, it
sake, we
doesn't.
stole Germany.
When does this end? When does this end? When
doesn't.
does the United States? At what point do we say? Does the United States say to Israel, "Well, okay, when are you going to step up and do it?" Instead, they're launching war and killing innocent people. By the way, in Lebanon, they're launching bombing campaigns in largely Christian populated areas.
Yeah, but they're stopping all the hundreds of thousands of rockets that come from Lebanon into Israel too. So
well, if you're launching rockets into Lebanon, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, but that's also because Lebanon's been lobbing rockets into them for years. How many years?
Well, of course, because it's been reciprocal.
Right. So
they have been fighting for so long, nobody knows who fired the first shot.
And to be frank with you, I really don't care.
Yeah. I mean,
I really don't. I just don't want to be there right now. We are sacrificing. Listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. We are already going to have a fight on our hands come the midterms. We are going to have a fight on our hands come the midterms.
Yep.
Yeah.
And us getting more dug in this war that does not benefit us. I'm sorry, it does not benefit us. I don't want to hear about the bombs and them and Iran having nuclear weapons and they're going to target the United States. I don't want to hear it. I don't anymore. I'm sick of it.
Yeah,
we were supposedly told that we destroyed all that.
Yeah, they're going to have.
They don't have a military anymore, according to President Trump.
All right.
So what's the threat?
Yeah, they're going to have peace, and then 5 years from now, it'll all be back again.
We're not going to have peace because Israel will not allow it. They just won't. I'm sorry. I know people have this attachment with Israel to where you believe everything they tell you, even though they lied about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And they lied about the uprising in Iran and the people uprising to take their country back.
So you're saying that the 45,000 people that were killed was all lies? That didn't happen? The people washing the blood off the street?
I don't know if it happened or not, Skill. I don't.
Well, you didn't see the videos of them hosing off the blood?
I can tell you that Mossad went in there and fluffed up that uprising. I can tell you that because it came out.
Did you see the video of the blood in the streets and they were washing it all away and everything?
It's not my problem, Skillet.
I know. I'm just saying.
Did you see the video of the people that China locked in buildings and let die during COVID? Did you see the video of the people that China dropped the bioweapon in America and people died from that? Did you see those videos?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you care about that?
Yeah.
What about the people in North Korea that are put in slave camps, work camps, and dying? Do you care about that?
Well, I got
should we be over there?
I got a couple of Jeeps from there.
Should we be over there?
Prison labor.
At what point do we go, this is not our problem?
I found a shiv and a transmission. I think pretty much came from North Korea from a prison camp.
We could go over this, and North Korea has weapons, they have mass destruction, they have nuclear weapons, and we could be on this all day. What I care about is making America great. What I care about is America's interests.
They're not going to make America great. That's out the door, man. No, none of our representatives want to help Americans anymore.
Well, what was it, 7 Republicans vote
PPC,
to keep these freaking Haitians sucking off the American tit?
Yeah. Salazar. Hey, she's pushing too. Let me tell you, the Dignity Act 2025, it hadn't gone away. It's going to get repackaged, renamed.
Act.
The
Exactly.
Dignity Act.
They're going to get it's even more of a slap in the face because they named it in Spanish.
Yeah, they're going to repackage
not
it.
Dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to repackage it, reframe it, and it's going to come through instead of $43.93. It'll come in as $43.95.
This is exactly why you're seeing Marco Rubio propped up for 2028 because he's very pro-war. The military-industrial complex likes him. The George Bush rhinos absolutely love him. And that's why he's being framed as this, MAGA candidate, but I believe he's really just I believe Marco Rubio is playing the part right now, but he's a sheep in wolf's clothing. I believe that's why you're having all these Republicans and Lindsey Graham's always praising Marco Rubio. Be wary of Lindsey Graham because this is the guy that said everybody that went into the Capitol deserves a bullet in the head. And President Trump endorsed this guy, by the way. Endorsed Lindsey Graham.
What they're going to do is they're going to have this 10 million semi-amnesty bill go through for 10 million people, and then about a year into it, they'll say it's too complex, and they're just going to let a full-blown amnesty.
And you heard Stephen Miller kind of start to soften on this amnesty thing.
Oh yeah. The 10 million, we're getting them.
The one.
We need their tax money.
The woman that put out that
Salazar
Act. What she said was, "We're going to do this right now.
Yeah,
this is what we're worried about right now. Later, somebody will
amnesty.
Give them
right because it'll be complex.
She's not worried about amnesty. She's doing
it's
this
the camel's
right now.
toes under the tent, right?
Because and Trump's just blindly being walked into this though. This is what I mean.
Yeah, and they're gonna
when these people tell me Trump can't be duped, when you're watching it.
Yeah, they want their he's going to go from the $4,000 entry fee to $7,000, and none of them are going to pay it. Try to get any money from these people. Try.
Well, you heard Salazar. They're going to work it off, right?
Yeah, going to work it off.
Yeah,
just
work
like
it off my
loans.
ass.
Just like
they're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You got these Haitians that have been talking about, they're working in the service industry. Who's going to do those jobs? Well, what about our young kids?
Right.
What about these college kids? I bet you they would do it.
Yeah, you bet.
And you have these lunatics that are trying to frame this as it's going to destroy you. You saw freaking that fraudster Sheila McCormick.
Oh yeah,
talk about it's going to devastate our economy.
Yeah, she ain't wearing that $10,000 ring anymore. If you notice that, man, she put that. She put that in her dresser drawer, man, keeping that under keeps. Yeah,
of course not. And we're just being walked right off. We're just being walked right off the cliff.
She's not afraid. Do you think she's afraid? She's sitting there speaking on the floor today.
She's out there. She could give two shits. Right? I don't even think, I'll be honest, I mean, maybe reality hasn't hit him yet, but I don't even think Swalwell's really afraid right now.
I love watching the guy from Arizona, Senator, who beat Lake. And Lake was saying, this ain't a good guy. This is not the guy you think he is. And watch him dance when they were asking him, start peppering him with questions in his office. He was if there was a word tweaker, that guy was tweaking out, man. And it was like, I don't know what, I don't think he got a wink of sleep. He's not going to sleep for 2 more weeks. I mean, trust me. And it wasn't Egypt. They were like in Omar or UAE or someplace like that, but it wasn't Egypt. They were on the camels. I made a mistake. It wasn't Egypt, but they were on camels and they were somewhere in the Middle East, Qatar. They might've been in Qatar.
Yeah. But it was like an $80,000 trip that the taxpayers paid for.
Yeah. He was right there.
I wonder why America is in debt.
He didn't say he wasn't in that video. He said, See, those are all
Yes.
lies that you're saying. You're lies. This is how it all started. He never said he
It just
wasn't.
happened to be a guy with the same beard as you, right? Same side profile.
He was. Could you imagine getting caught with a prostitute, man? That's like taboo.
Well, that's the people we send to Washington to represent us.
For 6 years. That's a 6-year guy right there. 6 years.
Goes back to what I said in the beginning of the show. We can change.
Yeah, we can.
It's going to take a fight. It's going to take a fight.
Yeah, but when you have,
but we can change.
The problem is here's the problem that we have, right? Is the old guard does not want to give up power. You're seeing it. You're seeing it with this Marco Rubio, the push for Marco Rubio. You're seeing it. You're seeing George Bush try to encapsulate this party. And now you're hearing people. You're hearing people start to say this now. I've been saying it for months and months and months. I've been saying that here on this podcast, and I think on my radio show for months, that George Bush is he wants his party back. Right? And you're seeing it with little Marco. You're seeing it because he's perfect, right? He's perfect. He walks in there. He caters to MAGA. He comes in. He's being propped up. Meanwhile, if you really look at Marco's history, he's a straight-up rhino warmonger, right? Anti-Trump from the beginning, anti-Trump after J6.
Well, we need an NGO that's like 2020. I was thinking about it. Remember that black guy that was Godfather's Pizza developer? Godfather's Pizza helped him out, and he had the 777 or something like that. It was a 777 promotion when he was running for president. We need a 20 years total government. You can be in state government, you can be in federal government, but 20 years is the time limit. That's it. You could spend 10 in state, 10 in federal, whatever. All 20 in federal, all 20 in state. But that's it. After 20 years, you can't run for office anymore, no matter what level you're at. Period. Then the second 20 would be you're only allowed 20% of your salary.
I don't want people jumping from state to federal.
Well, that's what they do now.
Yeah, I don't want that anymore. I don't want that anymore. What I want is just, you serve as a congressperson in the state for term limit. I don't know. We'll say one term, 6 years, whatever it is, 4 years for a congressperson.
It's 2 years for Congress.
Two years for Congress.
2 years for Congress, 6 years for Senate.
So I'll give them 4 years. Give them 4 years. Senate, 6, you're done.
One term.
One term. You can't run again for anything else. I'm done with you.
See, they're all coming back. See, those senators
because we
have
these professional politicians. Our system was not meant to be this way.
Hey,
that's why we have this corruption. That's why we have lobbyists. That's why we have. Yep. That's why we have.
But we need
APAC, right?
We need
that's
an
why we
NGO,
have APAC, and we have them funding all of these Republicans and Democrats, and they're all in media, sending people to Israel on trips for free. Giving money, funding Laura Loomer, funding Mark Levin,
right,
all to slant our media, slant our politicians, to push us into these never-ending wars in the Middle East. And who's benefiting from these? The military-industrial complex. And the people that get to go rebuild these countries after we destroy them.
Right.
And they're all connected to our politicians and the deep state. That's who's getting rich off of this. And all at the expense of the American taxpayer.
Yeah.
That's it.
But
the oil companies right now are making bank.
Yeah. the staffers that work for these politicians, they learn the ground rules, and then they get nominated to run somewhere. They move to whatever city, swing state, whatever they can get elected at, and it's a protected group.
Yes.
Now, you take the jungle primary in California and Georgia. Even Newsom said this week that it's a crazy system in California because why did he say that? Because 2 Republicans were leading all the Democrats for governor. And in that jungle primary, that meant only 2 of their names are going to be on the ballot. 2 Republicans. Okay. So you had Porter, you had Steimer, you had, that other guy from the Health and Services.
Skillet, Starman said it was Herman Cain.
Yeah, Herman Cain.
Yeah.
So
999.
999. So, but
999.
Stalwell got pushed out because he was like going to be the number 3 guy in the primary, and that it would only been him and these 2 Republicans on the ticket. So the jungle. So then what did they introduce? They introduced that crazy way of doing primaries where I forget what it's called, but it's something chain thing of the way they do it in Alaska.
Oh, you're talking about I know what you mean.
Yeah,
ranked choice.
RNC or
ranked choice voting.
Yeah, ranked choice voting, right?
Now,
another thing.
I'm not a fan.
It's probably very good for primaries, but not for the national election. But as soon as they get
it's not good for primaries. It depends on who you've got in there.
Yeah, but
and that's the thing. And here's the thing.
But as soon as they pass that, they'll do it for they'll do it for the national election because it's in there already.
Here's the problem.
That's how it had happened in Alaska.
You've got the rhinos thinking that they've got MAGA duped right now.
Right.
This is exactly what you have. You have them purposely fracturing the party. Sorry, it's purposeful.
They're reporting
you have them
that it's
purposely fracturing this party by dragging Trump in directions that the base doesn't want. We're lacking on deportations right now.
Right.
We're 180ing on deportations, and Trump is right there being blinded into political suicide in many ways. You've got people touting these CNN polls to where we were told those polls don't mean crap. Now we're supposed to believe these polls.
Well, they first ended Dodge. That was the first promise.
Yes.
Then he stopped on the deportation, and now it's no wars.
Yeah. Now we're
being dragged into 1, 2, 3
wars in the Middle East.
Right.
Listen, we're not sending all these troops to the Middle East, right? For the hell of it. This 2-week ceasefire, it's gearing us up for the second wave. We know this ceasefire and these peace talks aren't going anywhere.
Right.
I guarantee you they're not going anywhere. If we do have a peace agreement, it'll last for less than a week, right? Because it's not Israel's plan. That's not what they want. They don't want it. Just like they didn't want the ceasefire to last. That's why they started lobbing bombs into Lebanon. And the guy from Pakistan came out and said that was part of the deal. That was part of the ceasefire. And then President Trump has to come back and go, oh, no, it wasn't. Well, now who's lying? This guy that President Trump loves so much from Pakistan, right? That's negotiating and helping to put together this, or Israel. Who's lying? Israel doesn't want peace. Just like when everybody told me Operation Midnight Hammer was it, we were done. President Trump was going to get. Remember when people were telling me that in the chat, Skillet? I remember. And I'm saying we're not done. I'm saying we're not done. Remember when people were telling me how great Graham Bondi was?
Yeah,
you remember that people were telling me?
And he brought the bombers into Alaska to show Putin his power.
Do
remember
we remember how people were telling me how great Pam Bondi was? And I was like, no, she's not. No, she's not.
Sorry, Carl, not to cut you off. I got to go ahead and hop off.
All right, Jacob. I'll catch you Saturday morning.
Yeah, Saturday morning.
Yeah. All right, get some rest, buddy. I hope you feel better. I know you're struggling.
I'm getting there. I think we're going to do a whole show on that soon. But
all right, awesome.
Yeah. All right, guys. Brother. Good to see y'all again.
Yeah. Love you, man. Stay
safe. On, dude.
All right. Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem.
All right. So
the problem is I'm not saying these things because I'm anti-Trump. I love President. I'm just trying to send out the bat signal.
Yeah, and Lindsey Graham coming on national TV like he's the president or something.
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't good off the start either.
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, here's the thing. Here's what President Trump has to understand. Your base hates Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
We don't like him. He's a warmonger. He's on Sean Hannity, and we don't like Sean Hannity either. He's Mark Levin writes Sean Hannity's monologues, for God's sakes, I think, because they're just too in sync with each other. It's disgusting. Makes me sick. Right? You get these White House talking points. You can always tell these people that have these White House talking points because it's the same narrative throughout the day. You know what I do with them? I get them in my email box. I delete them.
Yeah, but you have to admit though, Trump pulling the ports by barricading the blockading the ports. That was a pretty good move.
No, great move. Great move. The only problem is that Iran can only pump so much oil when they get to capacity.
Right. They have to
and
stop.
They can't pump anymore.
Yeah,
it causes a problem.
Yeah. They have to
it starts to create
pumps.
like a sludge.
Mm-hmm. They don't have any storage.
And the problem is then
then
you're taking oil off the market,
mm-hmm.
which does what? Causes the price of oil to go up. So it's a game of chicken, and to be honest, it's a dangerous game of chicken. I think Trump's a really smart guy. I think that he gets misled easily, and I'll just go back to COVID.
Yeah.
Right? And I know people can make excuses and say, well, it was his first year in president. Okay, well, I get that. But you also had Bill Barr, Jeff Sessions, right? Christopher Wray.
And you had the guy from California, the Speaker of the House from California doing amend. They all were knifing him.
And you had Kristi Kreme,
yep.
one of his advisors,
mm-hmm.
right? Somebody who could not be trusted.
Yeah, Kevin McCartney. And you had Kevin McCartney. He's not going to. Where is he? Why isn't he running for governor?
Oh, he pops up on Fox every once in a while. He probably went back to his hot dog cart business in California.
He did have a hot dog.
Yes,
he did have a hot dog restaurant.
Yes,
he sure did.
Yes, he did. Mr. Hot Dog Cart.
Yeah, there's
some of those dirty water dogs.
Yeah. But people have to understand this, and people get upset with Tucker Carlson and Trump starts calling them names. All because you've got Laura Loomer taking selective things that Tucker Carlson said and showing them to Trump out of context. Right? I mean, Tucker has a right to interview people. Did anybody take a look at some of the interrogation of Bibi?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody watch any of those videos?
No.
I would suggest it.
I saw the interview of the president of Cuba on Meet the Press.
Meet the Depressed. Oh,
Let me
that's
tell
okay
you.
that's okay to interview him, but Tucker went and interviewed Putin, and he's a bad
Well,
guy.
I don't fault him for that. I do, however, fault him for advocating for Muslims and moving to Qatar. And that's a fact.
Listen, I don't agree with everything anybody does. Right? I don't agree with 100% of a lot of people. I differ with a lot of people because I'm very
Contrarian.
independent. I'm an independent thinker. I just I have a way I think and I analyze things. But what I can tell you is I don't trust Laura Loomer at all.
I don't either.
I don't trust Mark
We
Levin.
agree on that.
I don't trust any of those son of a bitches. They all have an agenda. Does Tucker have
Every
one?
single one of them.
Does Tucker have one? I'm sure he's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of money without any money from Qatar. I can tell you that. He doesn't need their money, right?
Well, it's not.
Is he influenced by it? I don't know. I don't really care. But what I can tell you is the interviews that were the if you watch the interrogation videos of Bibi Netanyahu and him funneling money to Hamas, right? Remember the group that killed people on October 7th? Remember that group? Yeah, he funneled money to them. Our money. Admitted it. Why? Why do you think he's being investigated on fraud charges and embezzlement and all types of things? And why do you think President Trump came out? Why do you think he came out a couple of months ago and he asked the president of Israel to pardon Benjamin Netanyahu? And his statement was, if you pardon Benjamin Netanyahu, it's going to make the peace process much easier. President Trump's words, not mine. And the president of Israel said, no, thank you. No, thank you. Why would it make the peace process much easier?
All right. Not a clue. Did you hear what Phil Mickelson said today? Phil Mickelson, the professional golfer in California.
I don't care about golf, but go ahead.
Grew up in Southern California. He went off, man. His accountant must have called him, told him how much is friggin', these rich guys, he makes $65 million a year off endorsement playing golf.
California raked him?
Yeah. He got a call. He got a call from his accountant telling him what he has to do for next year, because that's usually when they do it. They finalize your taxes, you pay them. Then the next couple of days is their chance to say, here's my bill. Also, this is what you need to do for next year. And the guy told him, you got to get the hell out of California. And Phil Mickelson went off on the press today saying he makes $65 million a year. He pays so much in taxes, and now he's expected to pay even more in California. He goes, I've grown up here. I'm a California boy. I'm out of here. See ya.
Yeah. And where do you think he's going to go?
Florida, win again. Bring your own porta potty. Yay.
Of course. Well, and then you have what? Kathy Hochul now.
Values behind
Kathy Hochul talking about taxing people to death that have two homes, right?
Yeah.
One in Florida, one in New York.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to go after them.
Video about that today.
Yep. And
okay, so here's the deal. So Tony lives in Georgia. Big Tony lives in Georgia, and you have a penthouse worth $500 million in Manhattan. Okay, you have a Manhattan penthouse, and you let Carl and me go over there and party a couple of weekends every year. There, we have a really good time.
That would be a really bad idea, by the way. But
yeah, it would be a bad idea, but it would be awesome.
At one time, I would have actually wished for a Manhattan penthouse.
Yeah. So
no longer.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Yes, very
So-
long time ago.
So you don't live there anymore because you moved down to Georgia, but you still have your penthouse. So they're going to tax you for that additional penthouse because it's over $5 million. Anything over $5 million, they haven't determined the rate yet. I already looked this up because I asked them what's the rate. They haven't determined the rate yet. That's still up in the air, but they're trying to raise $500 million. They're trying to raise $500 million.
They're trying to fund all that free stuff Zoran promised.
Well, and here's the thing, though, but it's class warfare, and it's ingenious by these communists because
Right.
you have these people in New York City, these kids, and middle income people that can barely afford shit. They can't even buy a fucking house.
Right.
And you're
Communists have
talking
always
about
played
taxing
classes
somebody that
against
has
each other.
2 houses, right? And so
One's
they're like,
over
yeah,
in
go
the
get
second,
it.
And the second house is over $5 million.
Yeah.
Penthouse.
And they're like, yeah, go get it. You know,
Right.
they're not thinking about, because they're in this zone now, right?
Yeah.
The American dream has been stolen from them. It's been
Right.
robbed,
And-
right? They can't afford a mortgage. They can't afford their own house. They see these people, they've got a penthouse in New York City, and they got a mansion in Florida. And they're like, screw those people. I'm getting screwed. I'm busting my hump every day, and I can barely afford to put food on the table because
So
they're not thinking about how expensive everything is in New York because everything's taxed to death. They're not thinking about that.
So then they had another. So DeSantis is calling for a special session for the people to come back at the end of April because they got to tweak up our AI laws in Florida. Remember how we were talking about this, that we're using AI a lot more? And so what I do is I'm removing my real name and moving in T-Skillet into everything. Okay. Emails, what platforms I'm on, looking up things on YouTube. It's all T-Skillet now. It's all T-Skillet radio, right? So I have a new AI. So I start asking AI questions. It's all left slanted. It's completely left slanted. There is no conservatism. The YouTube videos that I get, the algorithm that I have, because I just started a new account, it's all lefty. It's all progressive. I don't get
Of course.
anything that I had before in my identity. So it's all lefty. So DeSantis, okay, I got to research this, but they were saying some of these shooters were on Snapchat, and Snapchat was telling them what to do. See, you know how scary that is? To take somebody who's kind of a loony already, and the Snapchat is telling them to get the rifle, load the rifle, take the safety off, take the shot. It was they're not telling us this, but their Snapchat was telling these shooters what to do.
It's not that hard to think of because remember, you say something. Let's just say you mention, I don't know, I'm looking, let's say you're talking to your wife and you're like, oh yeah, I'd really like a new flat screen TV.
Right.
What starts popping up?
Flat screen
on
TVs.
your phone, Amazon.
Yeah.
Right. So think about it. It's not that hard. If this lunatic says, oh, I'd really like to do a,
and don't say it because we're on YouTube. Don't say it.
I'd like to do something horrific. Right.
Right.
Well, those horrific things are going to start feeding into their algorithm of their.
We're going to say kickball. I want to play kickball.
I want to play kickball
a
lot. I want to play kickball a lot. So those algorithms are going to start feeding them videos about kickball.
Yeah.
Videos about the
rules of kickball.
Yeah, the rules of kickball.
How to line up the ball.
It's not that hard to imagine that.
Right.
Right. It's just done on a demented level.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it. Now, when you download an app, do you read what you're agreeing to?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
No.
Right.
Well, if you knew, you probably wouldn't agree to it. And you would never download it on your phone.
Right.
Right. But there's all these hidden things, and nobody's going to sit there. Oh, let me send this to my lawyer before I click on it and agree to it. Nobody's going to do that.
I have read those things. I know what's in them.
Yeah.
Well, it's like these
I'll be
medical.
honest, I haven't.
It's like these medical watches and stuff like that. They have disclaimers on saying none of this in this medical watch is really true. If it comes right down to it, call 911. You know what I mean? Ask your local doctor. You need to.
Yeah.
go
Well,
get
yeah.
Nine
But
times
they're
out of
also
10,
collecting your medical data
it.
on you.
right.
I mean, look,
Nine
we
times out
find
of
out.
10,
I've done the my ancestry or whatever the hell it is. You know, he's sending my DNA to fucking China.
Yeah.
Chinese have my DNA. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to do them any good. I got oh yeah, he's a bald Irish guy. Oh yeah, great. What good is that going to do? Yeah, he's a balding Irish guy that went gray prematurely. Oh, okay.
yeah.
You got him pegged.
Yeah, no, 9 times out of 10, when I'm on an app or a website, whatever that I signed up for, say YouTube, whatever, if I have a question about that app, where do I go? Do I go to the FAQs? Absolutely not.
No.
Do I go to the terms of service and that big long thing that you're supposed to read, but
Of
nobody
course.
ever does? That's exactly where I go because I want to know the truth. And
Yeah.
literally everything that you might have a question about on that app or on that website is that contract that you signed
Of
when you
course.
joined.
Yes.
Because that's what it is. It's a contract.
Yeah. And they're long and they're tedious.
They're
And
very
they're
long.
designed that way because
They
it makes
don't
you
want
not
you
want
to read it.
Yeah.
They don't want you to read it, but
No. It's the same thing at the car dealer when you sign a loan, right? You don't want to sit there and you want to get the fuck out of the car dealer. You're like, just give me the damn papers. I'm signing them.
Now,
I want to go home. I've been here for 6 hours already.
Yeah.
But you know, they always tell you.
They
always tell you.
Oh,
You know what? It's funny. They always tell you, Skillet, you know this.
Right.
It's only going to take an hour. Right? We'll have it ready for you when you come in. You pull in and they didn't even detail it yet. You know I was coming at 6. Oh, we still got to detail it yet. Have a seat.
Right?
And then they bring you back. And nowadays you're not signing paper. It's a desk with a computer in it, right?
digital,
So
yep.
you sit down and they want you to buy the True Coat. If you've ever seen the movie Fargo,
right?
They're trying to sell you the True Coat, even though you didn't want the True Coat.
Okay,
Right?
so let me tell you the insider what they're doing. It's big time in California. It is happening in South Florida. It's called credit bust out. Have you guys ever heard of that term?
No.
Credit bust out.
I used to work at a car lot.
Yeah. It's called credit bust out. What they do is they get an insider at the car dealership, and they get somebody that's going to answer the phone at their work. And the banks have deals with car dealerships and motorcycle dealerships that they automatically sign you. I mean, they'll buy your paper, right? No matter what it is. Yeah. So this girl in Fort Myers, she worked at a restaurant. She was just a receptionist at a restaurant, seating peoples, whatever that's called, go see the maitre d', right? Or the whatever. And the greeter. She worked as a greeter, not that much money, but she wrote down on all her credit information. She was the general manager of the restaurant, and she was making a couple $100,000 a year. She bought the most expensive car there on a loan, and the finance person spotted her the car. Then she went down and bought 7 Harley Davidson, and they spotted her the Harley. Okay. She accumulated she went to do this with all the dealerships. They do it within so many hours. She accumulated over $1 million worth of vehicles. Right.
Yeah.
And then she sells them or gets rid of them or whatever. I mean, they're on an ocean container leaving.
Yeah, I was going to say you don't have the title, so you would have to send them overseas, right?
Right, but you can't send them overseas without faking a title. That's where you need the expertise. So usually it's gangs. This happens all the time. Now,
so like a modern chop shop where they swap out maybe the serial number. Back in the day, they would swap out the serial number for a wrecked car, right? Yeah. And they'd make a salvage title.
And overseas, it goes with a title, right?
Yeah.
So
the Don't ask me how I know that.
Yeah. Okay, they do in South Florida. It's like one every quarter of but they call it a credit bust out. In California, it's 30 to 40 a quarter.
Damn.
Right? And it's multi-million-dollar thefts, multi-million-dollar thefts, and it's called a credit. Now the person's credit is ruined, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just amazing. Don't ever do that. Don't they?
They're thinking they don't care. Let's think about this, Skillet. The woman works as a freaking hostess at a restaurant. You know,
Right.
what's she making? Minimum wage.
Yeah.
You know, she probably made a couple $100,000.
Oh yeah.
Right. She made a couple $100,000 probably. And that's more money than she'll ever see in her life. She'll probably spend it in a matter of 6 months.
Right.
Right. And she'll
And
go
ruined.
back to being a hostess.
Right.
So people we live in a society where we want instant gratification. People want instant wealth. They want the top pay. They're not willing to put in the time or the effort to earn something.
Right.
They want it now, right? They want it now. And things you get now and instantly, well, they vanish quickly because you didn't put in the effort to build it, work on it, build the foundation. It's just the reality of it, and we're not teaching that to our youth.
Right.
Right.
We don't have time.
Think about it. You saw it with DoorDash grandma. Right?
Yeah, we don't have time. We don't have time to teach our kids.
That was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. DoorDash grandma.
That was some PR work, man. That was.
Really? You mean the woman with the sealed McDonald's containers that just rolled up to the White House, made it past the Secret Service? Here you go, Mr. President.
Yeah, that was just some hokey finoki.
That was really dumb.
Well, they better have some. They have to have some good news. That's the problem. They don't have enough good news right now.
Well, if we would have stuck to the immigration deportation plan that we originally were doing in Minnesota, instead of wussed out and surrendered
and Doge,
and we stuck to the no more never-ending wars.
Yeah, because this sex stuff is just doing this. Well, how about him? How about over here? Well,
and that's what we got. It's gonna be a circular firing squad.
Yeah, because you got one that's going to get kicked out, so we have to find another one over on the Republican side to get kicked out. So
yeah, I mean, if you think about what happened, and I said this to you, we have a horrific situation with Eric Swalwell. If it's true,
it's amazing. 5 people come out in 3 days, and he's that fast.
That was a hit job.
Yeah,
that was a hit job by the Democrat Party.
And this happened 10 years ago.
Yeah. Hit job by the Democratic Party. Nancy Pelosi knew it. They all knew it. They all knew it about it.
Steyer paid for it. The billionaire.
So he goes out.
You know that there are dossiers on every single one of them that has all the dirt. And so they decide that it's time that this one is no longer useful.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna burn him.
We'll never know. We'll never know why they wanted Swalwell out. We'll never know why somebody had to say to him, this is my guess. It's probably not a good idea to run for governor. They already have somebody that they want. And he just probably was like, nah, you know what? I want to do this. And then he started to get traction. And as he started to get traction, they started to panic. And they're like, all right, it's time to sink this ship.
Well, at the point right before this stuff all started happening, he was actually third to the 2 Republicans.
Yeah. Starting to get traction.
But you had Pencil Neck as a senator, the new senator of California. So he really didn't have any place to go, and he wasn't going to be president of the United States. So he had to do something.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Pencil Neck.
Yeah, he's next.
Yeah, well, I can tell you what,
it's possible.
He's not. If he's going to sink, it's going to be sunk by the swamp itself, not because of Todd Blanche or anybody else in the federal in the DOJ or the FBI. I can tell you that right now. They tried to drum up the stupid mortgage, and I told you this from the beginning. I told you when they started with these mortgage fraud cases. I told you they were going nowhere. Told everybody that. I said, this is the dumbest thing ever. These are going to go nowhere. And it's just a way to make the base think we're doing something. Look, we're getting accountability. Get the base all excited, and that's what happened. Oh, look, you see? I told you. Look, I told you there'd be accountability. Look, Adam Schiff. Look at, what's the other, the big Tish James. Look at her. Nothing, folks. Oh, look at James Comey. Nothing, folks. Nothing.
The only entertaining out of this whole thing has been the landlord of Eric Swalwell, who's a timeshare magnate, right? And he is as foul as they go, like that MFer. And then he's like, Rick and frickin' Recca, and they're beep, 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 beep. He goes, get the beep out of my place. Get out, get out. So now he's homeless. The dude's homeless because he ain't going home. Can't go home. Wait, hopefully his parents are still alive. Maybe he can go grab a basement.
There might be a doghouse in his backyard that he could sleep
I don't think so. He's gonna have to go back to grandma's house or mom and dad's basement.
What about his buddy he went on those vacations with? His other Congress buddy.
That guy's moved. He's probably moved in Arizona. He's like, I'm out of here. What are you, crazy? I'm in I'm like on the other side of town.
Wait, he's in California, right?
He's in eastern San Francisco.
He's in California.
Yeah.
They'll pay him. They'll give him a tent. They'll pay him to be homeless.
There you go, Eric.
I got a nice spot. They'll give him
he's gonna look in 5 years. He's gonna look just like Weinstein, man. He's gonna come in on a walker. That's what it's gonna do to his system. His system. He's gonna come into court with another person that's gonna try to get some money out of him, where he's coming in a walker. Now Hunter's left the country. Hunter's out.
Yes.
Hunter Biden is gone. And he stiffed 17 million. And did you see I did a story on the banker that owed $4.3 billion that he has to pay back? So Hunter isn't by any means.
Well, that's why he was trying to remember in my cold open a few weeks ago where I covered him leaving the country. Remember, he was trying to have a cage match with Eric Trump or Don Jr. Which I would pay good money to see. I'm not going to lie, but
and the guy who lit the warehouse on fire in Ontario, California, which was the big towel, paper towel, Kimberly Clark, 1.2 million square foot, $500 million in damages. $500 million. So that's going to be his judgment. Plus, all the 100 employees are going to sue him that work there, and the fire department's going to sue him. So
wasn't he a Muslim? Was that the Muslim guy that did that?
No, he was just a white, middle-aged, disgruntled employee that said he wasn't paid enough, and he videotaped himself.
Wasn't there one where some Muslim dude burnt the place down too in California? Wasn't there? I mean, am I thinking of something else?
This is a guy. He had a beard, but he looked pretty toasty white to me. He looked pretty white. He videotaped. Is that what it was? He videotaped himself.
Yeah, I don't think he was Muslim though. I think he was like Latino.
Okay, there was another one that I thought I remember reading that.
But the arsonist lights his lighter and throws it on a pallet.
Yeah,
because they should have paid me more to not do this, and he throws it on a pallet. He videotapes himself doing it.
That's right. The Starman said, I forgot about this, Starman. You're right. To start paying back the tariffs next week.
Oh, that's going to kill us.
There goes your $2,000 stimulus check that you were supposed to get.
Well,
that's going to kill us.
Didn't I tell you? that the Supreme Court was going to screw us on that too? Remember when everybody was so excited and I said it?
Maybe,
I said they give you breadcrumbs. I've been telling you this forever.
maybe
They give
Mega
you
needs to
breadcrumbs.
go away. Maybe Mega does need to go away
They
because
give
it's like
you breadcrumbs.
they're going to hunt us down. We're
They
going to be
give
the
you
vermin.
breadcrumbs and they screw you on the things that count. The things that count. That's where they get you. They let you think you're winning and then they rug pull you, baby.
Well,
And you're like a cartoon.
well,
You're
hopefully
floating on your back and then you hit the ground.
hopefully Trump will take Iran and then the oil will deplete our deficit. That's
Yeah,
a plan.
dude. Yeah,
That's
you'll never
I'd
take
like-
Iran. It'll be a bloodbath over there. It will be an effing bloodbath. The radical Muslims from Syria and all around there are going to constantly be doing exactly what they did in Iraq to us. Exactly what they did with the roadside bombs. And I know people are going to say, well, there were different rules of engagement. You don't understand. We're dealing with people that are relentless, and they are taught from birth to kill, murder, and maim people.
So why do we have 10 million of it in our
that
country?
we're the only ones that have rules of engagement.
Yeah. Why do we have 10? Why do we have 10 million Muslims in the country? Then? Why?
I'm sorry.
We're
I'm
just-
going to war. There are no rules.
Yeah.
If
not-
I'm going to war, the rules go out the window.
There are.
Well, they just arrested the biggest war hero in Australia.
Yeah. A few
And
weeks ago,
Australia's
actually.
weird. I'm
few
telling
weeks
you,
ago.
Australia's
Yep,
weird.
because they said he killed unarmed people in Afghanistan or something like that. Something ridiculous. Some made up lie in Iraq.
Yeah,
some
he said,
bullshit.
she said.
You know
He
what? The
said,
fucking
she said.
guy was at war, and you had people that were strapping bombs to themselves and blowing them up. Driving at you with cars at checkpoints and blowing them up. F you, man. Of course he's gonna start killing people. He's in a goddamn war zone.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. All the unarmed people should have been fleeing away.
Yes. Yeah, you have somebody speeding at you in a car at a checkpoint in the Middle East. You better waste them quick.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the thing. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with. Let this sink into your head, people. We're dealing with people that are willing to blow their own children up. They're willing to strap bombs to them and send them in the crowded marketplaces. They're willing to strap bombs to their wives, their children, their sons, their daughters, and blow them up to kill you and everybody else around you. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, see,
how do you
people
fight an
want to
enemy
die.
like that?
These
Yeah,
people
they
want to die.
are raised from birth to sacrifice themselves for the good of the movement.
And what's that called? The term called that they can lie and cheat and steal to further their cause? Tyranny, tyra,
Yeah.
Taikia. What is it?
No, not
IKEA.
IKEA is a really cheap
IKEA.
store
Yeah, Taikia.
where you go and you can get horse meatballs. Well, you could at one point. You remember that?
Yep.
They were caught serving that.
They stay with you all day, man. You burp that flavor up all day long. It's just like, oh God. Okay.
Just saying, folks. All right, we're done. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget, catch me Saturday morning on the Kill Carl Radio Show. Just been picked up in syndication by Seaboard. Baby.
Golf clap.
I'm excited. I'm excited. We're gonna turn this into a 5 day a week, 3-hour show in the future. That's what I'm going for.
The new skinny Rush Limbaugh. The new skinny Limbaugh, baby. Yeah.
I don't know if I do it
You're
5
just gonna
days a week. I
glue
might
those
not be
metal
so
things on your skull
skinny.
right here. Those metal
You got to
things on
get
your
his
skull.
mic, though.
The golden EIB mic.
And bigger than Rush Limbaugh's golden mic. It's got to be like a basketball size. Okay?
The
I'm talking
new version.
basketball. Yeah. You can get your head in there and look at it. Don't forget to check out Panic in Rehab at 8 in the morning for just a quick hour show. It's a pretty funny show. We laugh. It was pretty good.
Did you have James this morning?
I had both of them. I had James
Oh,
from Empty
love it.
Pocket Podcast, and I had Big Tony from Big Tony Speaks, man, and
Love
it was
it.
awesome.
Love
right.
it, love it, love it. All right, guys, and I'm thinking maybe, I'm not sure. We'll see how this works out. I might do a quick, maybe half hour in the morning before John's show.
Yeah, 5:30.
I might. I'm up early anyway. That'll give me a little bit of time. I said I might. I'm not promising anything.
You just have to get you got the 2 hours down. You could easily do 3, okay? But you can only talk about Syria one day a week. That's it. That's your limit.
You know what? I gotta be honest. The Iran thing makes my blood boil, and I really hate talking about it because I feel like I make people mad with my with my point of view. But I don't really care. I don't care that I make people mad. I'm just trying to explain to you the frustration of a lot of people out there. A lot of people that worked hard to get Trump elected. I worked really hard. I really did. I did. I went to all of his rallies in Pennsylvania, donated my time at the rallies, stood out there in the freezing cold, bringing people into the rallies, donated my time on election day. I made phone calls, knocked on doors. And it's really frustrating for me. It really is, because I really feel like this is our last stand, our last shot. If we don't get this right, baby, we are going to be effed.
Yeah, but but your talk show for 3 hours, you need to talk about Pennsylvania and how to make Pennsylvania a better place. You need to talk about how to make the surrounding cities a better place.
The problem is it's a syndicated show.
Yeah.
So I can't just focus on Pennsylvania.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I definitely will.
But I mean, really get involved with Ma'am Danny and everything that's going on in New York, and
you
stuff
could
like
have
that.
local segments,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the judge in Georgia today or yesterday nixed the county of what they were doing. So they gave them till April 27th to get their shit together, or she's going to rule pretty quick.
Ooh.
So yeah, so she's not laying down. They ain't laying down.
There's a couple of good judges out there, not many, but there's a
few. There's a few.
Not few.
Not many.
What was the one in Florida? The one that handled the Trump Mar-a-Lago thing. She was a good one.
Yeah,
Susan something or another.
Yeah, in Miami.
Yeah,
she was in Miami, and then they're trying to do this grand jury all out of Jupiter. So that's Martin County. So the Martin County jury, but
yeah, I have very little faith in Todd Blanche. So I wouldn't expect too much.
You can't get anything in the District of Columbia. You can't get anything in New Jersey, New York, and even Atlanta, and then now Florida. I mean, these people, they take so much shit when they're trying to do it that they don't want it to take the shit. They're all waiting out Trump. They're all waiting out Trump.
That's exactly what they're doing.
And they're trying to install Marco Rubio because he's a pro-war.
Yeah, they should
pro-war.
We're going to have to be
and
pro.
They're trying to position him as MAGA.
DeSantis. We're going to have to go with DeSantis, guys. I'm telling you, he'd make a hell of a president.
Go back and look at Marco's history and the way he's been and how anti-Trump he was. You'll see exactly who he is.
I do like JD Vance, but
I like JD Vance.
He kind of acts like he doesn't want it. That's the person you want in there. Yeah, the person that doesn't want it.
Yeah, right. I know people say that JD Vance is Peter Thiel's bitch. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around saying
I don't want a time machine to send Trump back 20 years, then see what would happen. You know, I want
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
I want a time machine. All right, brother.
All right. Good night. God bless. We will see you tomorrow.
Y'all have a great one.
Later.